Man, have I got a long story for y'all. It's been a long time since I've told this story to multiple people, but I thought I'd figure and share it because you guys will find this entertaining. I used to live in Florida, right? And I'm not from there, but I used to live there for a while and with my parents and everything because they wanted to retire. But this was before like the downfall and everything of my parents' relationship. But I decided to move out for the first time because I just wanted to get out of there because I wanted to go see my friends because all my friends were in Missouri and shit. And I not only that, I just wanted to be back in the Midwest because everything was a lot cheaper than it is in Florida. And this was in 2019. So I had a friend that offered me to move in with her, right, and her dad, which is a little awkward. I'm not gonna lie, but she offered it to me because we were just friends and everything to come live with her while I get on my feet and get my own place, you know. And I was willing to do that because I had a job lined up and everything, and I was able to transfer back and everything. And I just thought, okay, why not? So I move in and everything, and things go well. And I was working at a retail store because I was only 21. I was working at Walmart and everything because I needed a job, you know. So that was the job I had, and it was full time. And when I was living there, it was fine for the most part. It was very peaceful and quiet. And unfortunately, her daughter's dad, like I said, didn't like me, and he just didn't treat me very well. Unfortunately, like he just treated me like I was a fucking pig trying to get with her daughter. But honestly, I had other people I was interested to, and I had a couple friends that were women that were just friends, you know. And I just don't understand that type of mindset when people think that like if you just because you're friends with a woman does mean you're trying to get with them. It's not always like that. I was very quiet too. Like I was not home often, but I was also very clean and organized for the most part. I tried to stay clean and organized because it is somebody else's home, and you got to respect it, you know. So you got to do what you got to do to keep the house clean. Unfortunately, would misplace a few things every once in a while, but it wasn't anything like a mess or nothing. It would be like a lunchbox or something, but I didn't do it on purpose. Long story short, with that situation, her dad did not like me. He just randomly kicked me out of the house. Like he did not tell me this. He told her daughter this, and her daughter just told me this shit, and I was just like, bruh. And they all knew that I was going to be homeless, but he didn't give a shit, and that was kind of horrible. And when I was working at Walmart, I had some coworkers and stuff I made friends with and everything, but I was kind of really like stressed out about what I'm gonna do next, and this whole moving out for the first time backfired terribly. But I did meet someone that was a coworker that I was really good friends with at the time. But unfortunately, I didn't get to see who he really was until I lived with him. And he offered me a place. And I was happy because I was just trying to get my own apartment, you know? Yeah, this guy wasn't very shady at first. Like he seemed like an ordinary dude that was funny, young at heart, and everything. And he was 8 years older than me. He was about 30 years old almost, and he was likable to talk to at work and everything. And I didn't see any weird behaviors from him or nothing. But yeah, he definitely looked like the alternative rock or emo goth style, and it didn't really bother me because you know, like I have friends that were emo and shit, and I have siblings that dressed up in that style. I thought, okay, he's just being himself, you know. So we move in together. Thankfully, he had a couch and everything, and I thought it was really nice of him because I was grateful to be able to live with someone just for a couple like months, just to try to get on my feet. And I was doing a great job, just working, paying the rent and everything, because it was extremely dirt cheap. It was like $300 to $400, like that. That's pretty cheap for rent, honestly. I was also very naive when it came to roommates and stuff because I never moved out on my own before, and I didn't know how people are and how people will try to do with you dirty and stuff when it comes to roommates. But he didn't do anything dirty with me yet or nothing, but I noticed a few things right off the bat after a couple days. This guy's apartment was a little messy. He liked to smoke weed and everything. He had a bong and everything, but the way he would lay everything with his weed and shit was all on the floor and really unorganized and messy. It also did reek of marijuana really bad, so he was definitely a heavy user, and I wasn't smoking any of that really. And I have friends that smoke weed and everything, you know, like it's not a big deal or nothing. But like I was just hanging out with him, and things were okay for about the first couple weeks. But then I noticed a few red flags that kind of caught my eye. I've learned to find out that since I had a car, that he did not have a driver's license and it was suspended, and that kind of concerned me because this dude was 29 years old with a suspended driver's license, and I was wondering like, how the hell do you get your driver's license like permanently suspended? Because it was a permanent suspension. You must have done some fucked up shit. I was like, what the hell? And then I realized that he didn't have a gaming console, like no PlayStation or nothing, because he said he played games and everything, but he didn't have a PlayStation. I was super confused, like, what the fuck? Why do you not have a PlayStation if you say you got a gaming console? Come to find out that he was mooching off my PS4 because I had a PS4 we'd share. I didn't mind sharing at first, but the motherfucker would never like ask to get on. He'd just get on when he wanted to, like it was he owned the bitch, and he hogged it. And it was weird because it was my PlayStation, and of course, me being too nice, I let it happen most of the time, and I should have not let it happen. But at the same time, it was our place. I mean, his place, but I was just staying with him, and I didn't want to be ungrateful or be a piece of shit. But I don't know. Looking back, yeah, it was kind of fucked. And over time, he became extremely verbally abusive. Like, for some odd reason, his maturity level was like a 12-year-old, and he would get really upset over every little thing. And he started, like, berating me over small arguments that I thought, even at 21 years old, was ridiculous and immature and just fucking, like, just dumb. And then it gets better. So while we were at work, he was actually just hanging out with us. You were just chilling, working, just trying to get the job done and shit. And then I've come to find out that he was like, he admitted he had a crush on a few people, and because this guy really had a huge addiction to sex and everything, so he really liked to sleep around and stuff because he was a single guy who just got out of a relationship. But yeah, he had a history of just sleeping around. And I was like, damn, I go, why you freaking down bad for everybody, bro? But here's where it gets extremely like awful. So there was this younger coworker we had that would come around and hang out with us because I remember I helped her one time on something, and she kind of started getting like socially attached a little bit at work because she digged our vibes, and she thought we were cool. So she would hang out with us while we worked, and we stock shelves and take breaks together, just hang out. It's like a little hangout spot. But I found out my roommate was getting awfully closer to her in a weird way. Like, to him, he was like always saying he was like watching out for her. But for like, I don't know why he randomly would say shit like that all the time. But it makes sense the more I'll tell the information and story. It's crazy. And I always try to be a good role model for her because even though we weren't super far apart in age, that I was an adult and she wasn't. So I always thought it'd be good just to be a good role model, to have a good mindset, to show what the adult world is like at the workplace a little bit when we work together. And this is when things get extremely weird. Like, my roommate had a confession to me randomly saying that he had a crush on someone at work. And I was like, okay, cool. I go, who do you like and everything? And he just confidently told me that he liked the teenage girl, and he was like almost 30. And I was like, bro, she's a minor, right? And he was like, I don't care. And then he like goes off and lists all the other victims he like got with at like a younger age that were also minors. And it was absolutely scary to think about. And that's when I realized, holy shit, I made a giant mistake living with this dude. So I was literally living with a predator, and it was scary. And it gets even weirder too because like I didn't see any of those predator like behaviors at all before. It's like he hit it and then got comfortable with me and thought I would be okay with it because I was living with him in a weird situation. And I was like, oh hell no, and it was fucking scary. So I had to come up with a plan pretty quickly to get out of there. So one night I went to go to bed, right? And everything was fine, because I was tired. I was working an evening shift, so I got pretty exhausted from stocking shelves all day. So I just went home and, with at his house still, falling asleep on the couch. And then it was like 6 a.m. because I'm a light sleeper. So when I hear people's footsteps, even if they're really quiet, I can wake up pretty easily. I saw my roommate up super early, and it was weird because he was going somewhere, but he didn't have a car, and he didn't use my car, obviously. And I was like, what the hell? Why does he have to walk like at 6 in the morning? And he says he was going to go meet up with some girl to go maybe hang out and stuff. And I was like, okay. Little did I know the whole time this dude was grooming this chick the whole time and didn't even tell me until I found out the hard way. And it was awful because apparently he called me later when I woke up saying, hey man, you got to come get me. And I was like, where the hell you at? Because he wouldn't even describe it very well because he walked extremely far and he somehow got the girl's address that he like manipulated her and everything to go into his house, and he tried to like sleep with her. And I think he successfully did because the girl came out later confessing all the crazy shit that happened. And I was like, holy fuck. And the worst part is he didn't even tell me about like that part until I found out like later. And I actually, my dumbass went to that house to go pick him up, and I felt like a complete shithead, and I felt like a horrible person because when I found out later what happened, it made me look extremely terrible, and I felt extremely bad because I did not have those type of intentions, man. And I didn't want to be associated with a dude like that. And that's when I stood up for myself. I told him that you cannot be doing that, bro. It is extremely fucked up, and I will be finding a new place soon and everything. And we got into a big ass fight, and it was scary because he was getting mentally unstable. He was starting to get a little handsy and violent a little bit, trying to get me to like hurt him. And I was like, no, bro, I'm not gonna play that game because I'm not that type of person, and I pick my battles, and I'm not gonna do that. So a couple days go by. I'm just finding a plan to get out. I'm trying to look for an apartment to apply at and everything because this is a fucked up situation. And then come to find out, because I needed to go to the bank for something, that I wake up one morning and all of a sudden I start my car. Come to find out, my tire is extremely flat, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And it looked like someone like initially teared it up, like they slit my tires and shit. And I was super confused because I was like, "Where the hell is my aux cord too?" Because I found out my aux cord was missing at the time because I had a wired aux cord. And I found out that it was gone. And so I went back to go ask my roommate, hey, someone slit tires on my car and shit. And I kind of put two and two together because the night before he went out somewhere and he grabbed some keys of his kind and then just stormed off somewhere. And then I kind of put two and two together and realized he did it. And how I know he did it, I found my aux cord laying next to him in his bed, and he got extremely angry because I interrupted his sleep because something like this fucking happened. And I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And that's when I basically confronted him again. And then, yeah, that's when I had to get people to come over, move my shit out, and had to stay with someone for a while. And then eventually having to move back in with my parents because of this whole fucked up situation. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was pretty messed up, man. I was extremely depressed for a long time. It just all that mental abuse did mess with me for a while, but it did teach me a lot about moving out, how the real world can be sometimes, and who not to trust. Because my parents honestly didn't teach me any real world stuff very well, so I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. But you know what? I'm kind of glad I did because I moved out the second time like a year later, and I was a lot better. Like I actually was able to save money, and I actually got my own place and shit. So it wasn't that bad. The second time was a success, and it's stuck to this day. It's been 4 years since I left my parents' house, and I left during the peak of COVID. I also remember my roommate was trying to lure the same chick to our place, and while I was living there, and that shit is absolutely scary because anything were to happen, the police would have come out at our door. If anything, if someone called the cops, and I would have been fucked because I would have been living there, and I probably would have been accused of something too. And that idea was scary because I found out that he was also doing that because apparently he confessed to a few people at work about what he wanted to do because he was sick in the head and he just didn't give a shit. He was a sociopath, I think, and he was just psychotic as well. Like, I don't understand why you would even confess to something like that at a workplace, let alone the fucking people that could get your ass fired. Like, I don't know. Like, Walmart just didn't give a fuck, unfortunately, because I guess they didn't have proof, and it wasn't, their business because it was all in the personal life of shit, not at the workplace. Now, I will say is be careful who you live with and who you choose as your roommate because it's extremely important. And honestly, if you can go without a roommate, go for it because I hate roommates now. I don't give a fuck if I don't have a lot of money like I used to or whatever. I don't like to live with anyone because it always backfires because I've had other roommates too. I've had maybe one or two that actually like stuck and then the rest just backfired terribly at the end. It just doesn't work out very well because yes, you can pay your bills, but if they're not gonna pay their share and shit and just take advantage of you, why even have one? And all the stupid toxic drama and shit, it was awful. I used to have a friend that also asked me to be their roommate, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not? I can help him out and pay the bill, help pay my bills and shit. Split it in half, and we could be even." And thankfully, he wasn't on the lease. But yeah, the dude still fucking made excuses and never paid his shit on time. I'm just like, yeah, fuck this, bro. Like, yes, we were both broke, but goddamn, even though I was still responsible, he was just didn't care and he wasn't responsible at all, and he tried to pin everything on me, man. But anyways, that is all I have for this crazy ass story. This has definitely been a long story for y'all, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And yes, this shit is all in fact real. I do have chat logs and shit of all of this shit that went down, but unfortunately, I can't show it on this channel. But I do have a longer, extended version of this story in the moment of everything, and maybe with a little bit more information because I don't remember all of it. It's been a while. That will be on my main channel, and I will link that in the description below if you're interested in reading all the chat logs and just everything I just break down because it's about a 40-minute video and it has more information of shit. But this is more of like a fun summary version that I thought just looking back on. Looking back at the whole situation, I'm just like, damn, I really was an idiot, but I was just a naive 21-year-old guy who just didn't know anything about how the world worked, and I just had to learn everything the hard way on my own. Fucking, I do not recommend it because I also moved like 1,200 miles away from my family for this shit when this happened because, yeah, my parents lived that far away from me now, and I don't regret it, honestly. I think I found my peace. Anyways, everybody, thank you all so much for listening to the story if you got this far in the video because it is definitely a crazy one. And I hope you all enjoyed the gameplay. I'll catch y'all on the next upload, so peace out and I'll see you later.